What is up, YouTube? PPS here. Back with Past the Prop at a little different time today. So give me a moment. Going to send this all out. Want to make sure we get everybody in here today that is able to. Sorry for the last minute switch up. We have a wedding. Obviously, I wouldn't be wearing what I'm wearing usually. I'm usually wearing a tank top or something else, but we're popping on a little bit early. Got to head out today. So let me just share this out, get everything ready. Hope everybody's good. We'll see who's all in here today. Check it out. It's a heck of a lot easier when we got monotone in here. Now I got to do it when I got to do it on my own here, but hopefully we will be back. We'll be back next week with everything. Time to get another sweep. Hell yeah, we're going to go through our recap here. I'm very excited for that. Happy Friday, fellas. Thank you. Yeah, it should be fun. I'm very excited. Obviously, Jason just alluded to it. We get to do our recap from last week. I'm just going to kind of go off of mine here. We had a great week. Obviously, I don't even know how PSG's did. I do know that Hollywood Brown was a cash for him. Jordan Love got hooked on that one. And I don't think Javonte got it. I think he had like 120 yards rushing. And then I don't believe he got the receiving yards there. My phone is blowing up with all these soccer notifications. I know. It's a crazy time right now. We have the international stuff happening. I obviously, I have it right next to me here to watch all of that because it should be it's a fun day right now. It is kind of crazy though, with all this stuff happening in the morning and stuff. So, Ashton, how we doing, man? How we doing? Let me go over my recap. Very happy. Obviously, love doing recaps when we can talk about getting a little sweep. Jerry Jeudy absolutely crushed 6 for 69. Did really exactly what we thought we would get out of him. Was able to get some yards after the catch. He looked very, very explosive, getting a lot of targets. I think he's over 50% on routes run with targets there because he's not running every route yet. Obviously, I didn't expect him to be fully healthy, but he was getting a huge target share. I believe 11 targets last week, if I remember correctly. So very happy to see that. Very easy cash there. Dalvin Cook, that was the steal of the day, right? Easily crushed it. Rushing yards alone was able to cash this. He did have a little scare in the beginning of the fourth where he hit it, got a negative 3-yard play, and then went back under it and then had like a 30-yard catch. So pretty easy there. Pretty easy cash there. But this was the one we all talked about. This is the one we all wanted. An absolute bang. So easy. So easy. When will the books respect my man here? I don't get it, man. I really don't get it. I don't understand why Nick Chubb gets disrespected by the books so much. But the dude had like 140 on 13 carries, over 10 yards a pop, 70-yard touchdown, 2 touchdowns overall. So very, very nice. Nick Chubb won me quite a bit of money last week on the max play. He was in all my DFS lineups. Top DFS play was him. It was a great day overall. Yeah, the man is an absolute tank, guys. I would not be surprised to see Vegas start overcorrecting, getting us to like low 90s, mid 90s, because the dude is just making money. I mean, right now I'm 5-0 on the season, cashing him. Do not have a bet on him this week. I know that's a little bit weird, not having money on him, but I am very, very excited for this slate. I think there's a lot of great games. It should be really, really fun. I'm looking forward to it. I just think that there's a lot of blowout spots in my mind that we could get to. Obviously, you're seeing Tampa, Washington easily could be a blowout. The Bills are playing the Jets this week. Could be a blowout. I mean, it's tough, right? Props are tough, and that's what makes betting props so much more fun. I don't cheer for anybody. All I'm cheering for is my specific guys to get the job done. So makes it a heck of a lot more fun for me personally, and also pops everything in for DFS. So we have a 10-point spread in Tampa, 11-point spread in Buffalo, 10-point spread in Indy, 8-point spread in the Falcons, 8-point spread in the Steelers, 10.5-point spread on Carolina. So there's a lot of games with blowout potential here. So I'm really curious to see where we get. There's a lot of question marks on these. Obviously, a lot of injury news in that Tampa Bay game. I think Gronk is probably on the opposite side of questionable that we want it to be. Godwin is like 50-50. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. Yes, I did see that he needs to pass it. I think he was vaccinated, needs one passing test before. I think it's today he'll be testing. So hopefully we'll know. Obviously, I do not have a bet on him with that news. But yeah, let's get started. We'll look here. It looks like we got 15 right now live viewers. Obviously, the late switch up's probably gonna mess us up a little bit with the amount of people we usually have in here. About 25 people over on Twitter as well. So very happy we have around 35 people in here live. Thank you guys for tuning in at this weird time. I know it's different, but it was either now or never for me. Like I said, I'm leaving for a wedding in like 2 hours. Obviously, I didn't pack yet, so I got to get this all in before that happens. So I got to make sure I get everything done and set. Got my soccer already done for the day, picked out. Got Bellator card already ready. It's going to be a fun day. A lot of action everywhere today. A ton of college basketball. Just make sure, this is my biggest thing for all you guys before we get into it, is make sure that you're not going too crazy with the start of a lot of these sports, right? College basketball, first day, 75 games. I had like 7 bets. It's just make sure you pick your spots. Don't feel like you got to bet everything. There's so much action right now, guys. It's one of the best times of the year. NFL, NBA, NCAA football, NCAA basketball. Still fights on the weekends. It's so hard to manage your units and manage everything. Just make sure you're doing that. If you have any questions on managing the bankroll, shoot me a DM. I'll be happy to answer them for you. And without further ado, we're about to roll with my first. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Ashton, we're going to roll with my first under, I believe, in a while, guys. So it is one of my favorite guys in the league. I'm actually going to roll with Josh Allen under 284 passing yards this week. Obviously, unders, I'm not a huge proponent on them, but I'm going to go with one unit here. After last week's debacle, guys, Sean McDermott did come out and say we need to change some things up. We need to make offensive adjustments. I'm going to see a lot more running from these guys. I really expect to see that. And now we have a great matchup with the Jets. Obviously, it is very scary to take an under against the Jets. I get that. But when I was watching that Jaguars-Bills game, I had no money on the game personally. But I'm a Josh Allen fan, and he's on my fantasy team. And he obviously blew the week for me. I lost by like 4 points. But the Jaguars were running 4 dudes deep. They were sinking back because they had absolutely zero care about the running game of the Bills. The Bills are going to be trying to run this ball down their throat. If we do see the Jets run the same type of defense, I expect to see at least 25 carries in this game, whether it be with Josh Allen, Singletary, Moss. I really expect this game to be kind of a lower scoring game, just in the fact that I think that the Bills will be able to run the ball on these guys. They have a 35% run blocking advantage here, according to Pro Football Focus. And if they're going to run 4 dudes deep, I do not expect anything else than those run option plays with Josh Allen. Allen has only cleared this line 3 times this year. Everybody thinks that this guy's a gunslinger, but this guy actually does not throw for that many yards in other games because he's running the ball so effectively. This guy has so many rushing touchdowns. He's a beast in the red zone, but he also is able to make the chunk plays with his legs. something that not many other quarterbacks can do, really, right? You see Mahomes, who can scramble, doesn't really make many big plays with his legs. Him and Lamar Jackson really are the two that stick out to me in the ability to make the big plays along with Jalen Hurts. A lot of the other quarterbacks scramble, but they're just to get first downs and move the chains, right? Josh Allen is one of those guys who will run between the tackles. It does not matter. This dude is an imposing guy, and I expect him to run the ball quite a bit this week. In those 3 times he did clear this number, the 3 teams that he beat this number against, one was Washington, who everybody knows has an absolute terrible pass defense. The other one's KC, who obviously kept up with these guys. Buffalo took it over late, but he cleared it against them. In Kansas City obviously was keeping up with them. That was when Mahomes was actually good, right? And then Tennessee, obviously that game was great. Really wish the Bills would have just kicked the field goal and gone to extra overtime. But they kept up with them, and the Bills had to pass, right? So we have an 11-point spread. Like I said early on, they've had a 25-point win. He didn't even come close to hitting it against them. That was against who was that against? I know the 40-pointer was against the Texans. They've had a 25-point win and a 15-point win. You know, every single one of those, he was with not even close, like 60 yards off. A couple of them 100 yards off of this number. This is a get right spot for the running game. I really expect this game to be Sean McDermott trying to just pound the running game, get Josh Allen going early so the running game opens up a little bit and they have to play deep. They have to show the league that they're able to run the ball, run clock, because they are up in a lot of these games, but they can't run clock because everybody just tunes in on Allen. Singletary has done shit this year. Moss has been better than Singletary, but that's not saying too much. I really expect this to be a running game type of game here. Morning, my guy. And I really expect Josh Allen to do a lot of damage with his legs. I don't mind his rushing props. I wouldn't mind his rushing attempts personally. But this is going to be my first under on a big guy like this, like a big name quarterback like Josh Allen. 284 is where I was seeing it. Let me pull up my thing here. Josh, I wrote it down on my notes here. So just let me pull up my notes. I'm seeing the under 284.5 at Caesars Sportsbook and PointsBet. 281, I like it. I think that's a good spot. Under 275 would be probably my cutoff. I don't expect Josh Allen to even throw for 270. 275 is my cutoff. I think that's enough value. 284 is great. I really had this at 268 was my number that I wrote down prior to these numbers coming out because I really thought it was going to be a blowout. I mean, against the Texans, he had like 4 touchdowns, had like 190, right? I mean, he doesn't need to do anything huge here. He just needs to obviously control the offense. They need to have a great game following an absolute embarrassing loss to the Jaguars. I think that this game is just going to be a grind fest for him. Obviously, it really depends. Do you think Mike White's going to be able to run through this defense like he was able to in his last matchup? I don't see it. I think Buffalo's defense is better. Then who did he play? He had the Ravens, I believe, in that last one. So I think that this is going to be an absolute fun spot for Mr. Josh Allen to get a win. But I don't expect him to throw for 300 today or on Sunday. I think that this line is way too high. I expect people to keep betting it up if they're not in here. Obviously, maybe this extra or maybe this time right now where we don't have many people in here is the right time to get on it. Because I do expect people to see, Jets, Josh Allen, he'll kill it. But the passing yards alone, I would not take the under two rushing passing yards because Josh Allen has the ability to get 80 yards rushing. I mean, this game, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, 32% run block advantage for this team. And, I really don't see it. They have a 1% pass block advantage. So I see quick passes dropping underneath. I don't really see many people getting too deep with only a 1% pass block advantage. There's not going to be as much time as people think here. So first play is an under. It's first time I've taken one of these in a while, guys, in a while. All right, number 2. We're going to Cordarrelle Patterson. This is a 1.5 unit play. I'm seeing minus 114. I'm seeing minus 110. Kind of all over the place, but the minus 114 is the one I saw first, so that's the one I locked in. I really like Cordarrelle Patterson against Dallas this week. Atlanta is going to be rolling out there with a 46% run block advantage. We saw what Javonte Williams did. We saw what Melvin Gordon did last week. These guys ran for almost 200 yards on the ground. And also, both of them had catches through the air yet, too. I like it because we're seeing 46% run block advantage. We're also seeing a negative 13% pass block, which means we're going to see some dump downs. We're seeing some quick passes. And we're also going to see a heavy dose of that running game. Mike Davis has taken a complete step back. Cordarrelle has obviously taken over this backfield. In the 2 games without Calvin Ridley, these last 2 games, he's got 11 total targets, which I think is great because he's getting 12.1 yards per reception. So if we're getting 12.1, get maybe 5 catches, that's 60 yards. All I need is 30 on the ground against this team with a 46% run block advantage. I love it. Last 4 weeks, we're seeing 46 rush attempts, so 10 to 11 in most games, a couple of them with 14 in there. So I do like him being involved in the running game as well. All we need is a couple breakout plays here. I think if we even get 40 yards rushing, we'll be fine. I would lean, if you do not have both options on the book, to take the receiving just because of the 8-point underdog spot there. Take out week 1 when they were blown out by 25. He's had 5 catches in every single game but 1. Cordarrelle Patterson is a beast here. We saw last week that he actually really won him the game on a dump down, and he was able to run it down for 74 yards. That's that type of explosiveness that we've seen when he was a returner. He's got ability to make people miss. And you guys know I love guys with yards after the catch. That's one of my biggest things that I go for when I'm taking an over on something for receiving. And in this case for Patterson, he's probably one of the best in the NFL. We've seen it, like I said, with kick returns. And we just saw how susceptible this Dallas defense was last week. Denver didn't have that big of a run block advantage. I look back, it was like 20 something. I don't know the exact number there, but and you're going to let both of them get over this number. Melvin Gordon, 80, Javonte Williams, 111, just pure rushing yards. Melvin Gordon had 3 catches in there as well. I just do not see a way that Cordarrelle Patterson isn't involved enough to get us to this number. Even Damian Harris, just rushing alone, ended up with 16 carries, over 100 yards rushing. Cook missed, but that was that one game that Cook didn't get any targets or any receptions. He had 0 receptions, still had 80 yards rushing. So damn close to this. If we get 10 to 12 carries for Patterson and we get 5 receptions like he's done in every single game, but 2, only 1 counting that 30-point blowout where he didn't really play. This is a smash spot, guys. This is an absolute smash spot. This is my second biggest play of the week. I have my biggest one coming here in a second. But I really like Cordarrelle Patterson. I really like the Falcons to keep this one close. I am not very high on this Dallas team, or at least their defense. Maybe a team total spot. Maybe I liked Matt Ryan's over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That was a little too juiced. That's like 160, 150. I still think that's a ton of value on it, but I'm not going to play that on here because you guys know I'm not really I don't play much juice on here. I think my highest I've had was minus 130 here. But I really do like Cordarrelle Patterson. Over 90.5 rushing receiving yards. I like it a lot. I really like it. Again, guys, if you guys have any questions, shoot them in the comments. I'll get to every single one of them, especially when we have a smaller group in here with the time change. So if you guys have any questions, DFS, prop questions, shoot me a DM or shoot it on the comments there. I will get to it. You guys know I get to every single one of them in here. And now, especially with a smaller audience in here with the time change, definitely will be able to get to all of your questions today. All right, we are getting to our biggest play of the weekend. We've been killing these 2-unit plays, guys. I didn't calculate the exact number, but we're well over 70% hitting on my 2-unit plays here. And I'm very, very excited to drop this one. Whew, okay, here we go. 2-unit play. Austin Ekeler. Absolutely love this dude this week. He's going to be my biggest play of the weekend here. Rushing and receiving over 102.5. This reminds me so much of Dalvin Cook's line last week. I just think it is way too low. I had this at 114 was my line that I was cutting it off at. They're going to give me 102. That's 12 yards in a fantastic matchup. We're getting Minnesota here. This line, 102, man. Austin Ekeler should never be that low. He's hit this in 5 of his last 7. And he's hit this against much better teams. He's hit this against New England's defense. He's hit this against Cleveland's front 7. He's hit this against Kansas City, against Dallas. I mean, there's a lot of much better teams, much better defenses than Minnesota. Now we're getting the second worst rushing yards per game right now, 130. They're averaging over 136.5 rushing yards per game to backs, which is just crazy. The reason why that number is so big to me is because Austin Ekeler has absolutely taken over this backfield. 20 of 24 touches for the backfield went to Austin Ekeler last week. Very, very big to see. Even when they were in closing time, right? When they were trying to ice this game, they didn't bring in a bruiser. They kept Austin Ekeler in. Austin Ekeler is a red zone back. He runs the ball between the 5 and the goal line. He does very well there. He scores touchdowns at an amazing clip because they are giving him so much red zone equity, right? A lot of these backs who are scat backs, guys like that will play from the 20s to the 20, and then they'll bring in a bruiser, right? To bring in a bruiser. Austin Ekeler ain't that guy. Austin Ekeler will stay in there in red zone packages. And now we're getting, like I said, against a team that's 136.5 rushing yards per game allowed. We're seeing a 74% run block advantage this week. And the Chargers have a negative 13 pass block advantage. So if we're having the negative 13, that means we're going to see a lot of Keenan Allen. We're going to see a lot of dump downs here to Mr. Ekeler. And this one is huge. This is one number that I look into once in a while, but it never really stands out to me usually. But in this case, it's huge. Minnesota is the 4th worst team in yards before contact on defense. So on rushing plays here, there's no one touching the running back until 1.59 yards downfield. If I'm giving Austin Ekeler about 5 yards of run ahead, I would take him in space over any one of these guys on the Minnesota defense. He is an absolute wizard at getting away from would-be tacklers, whether it be running him over, speed. He's got the spins, great stiff arm. And also his yards per touch are insane. 9 yards per catch, 4.7 yards per carry for a pretty small back is pretty impressive. Like I said, I love the matchup. I love the command of the backfield, 20 of 24 touches last week. And he's had 17 or more touches in every game except for week 1. So that is absolutely massive for me to know that this guy is not going to lose carries at the end of the game. He's not going to lose carries in the red zone. And he is probably, besides McCaffrey, the best, maybe Kamara, the best receiving running back in the NFL. My favorite thing that I was looking at here when I was looking at Austin Ekeler's previous games was the games he's hitting this number. He's hitting both his rushing and receiving prop. Like against New England, 11 carries, 64 yards, but also 6 catches for 60 yards, right? Cleveland, 17 carries, 66 yards, 5 receptions for 53 yards, right? Against Vegas was a little different. He had 15 for 117, and then also had 28 yards receiving in that. Against Kansas City, he only had 11 carries, 55 yards rushing, but still ended up killing it because he ended up getting 52 yards receiving in that game. Dallas killed it as well, right? 54 yards rushing, 61 yards receiving. So this guy has so many ways to beat you. I love guys like this. That's why I have to take the rushing and receiving because I really don't know. It really depends on what you think the score is of this game. I hate the Vikings, but I won't let my bias come into it. I can't bet with my heart. If I bet with my heart, I think the Chargers nuke them. But with my brain, I think this game stays close. A 3-point spread. I think Ekeler is heavily, heavily involved. And yeah, this should be a really, really, really fun game for props, for fantasy, for DFS. I think every part of this game is going to be fun to roll with here. 2-unit play on Mr. Austin Ekeler. I think I've only bet him twice this year, but he's been pretty good to me in DFS as well. So I will take a look at some comments. Love the play so far. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. Doesn't look like we have too many guys in here on the YouTube side of things. So If you guys are in here and have any questions, make sure to shoot them in there. I will make sure to get to those by the end here. I'm trying to run through quick, but I will get to everything here. Right. 101 on DK. Let's get it. Yeah, dude. Jason found that spot. If you have DraftKings, lock that in right now. I'm looking over at DraftKings right now just to take a look myself. And yeah, we're seeing 101.5 minus 115. So that'll be the spot. Make sure you guys go over there. Appreciate Jason for pointing that out, getting everybody else on that. Luckily, the line movement won't be too much. Like I said, we don't have as many people in here as our usual audience, with it just being me and with it being a different time. But yeah, I really like that 101. Again, it's just like Dalvin Cook last week. Just too low of a number, too easy, in my opinion. As long as Ekeler is able to still get his receptions, I think this is way, 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 way too low for a guy of his caliber here. All righty. So if I'm going to choose for rushing, receiving here, not Dalvin Cook. I keep talking about Dalvin Cook, so I keep talking about it. Oh, big spot. 100.5 on points bet. Lock that in. I like that a lot. 100.5. Definitely. Like I said, I had 114 was my cutoff there. If I'm going Minnesota here, let me pull up their separate spreads here, or separate ones. So I'm looking at Ekeler on DraftKings. Rushing is 60.5. And I'm looking at Ekeler receiving 36.5. Those are both DraftKings numbers. If I had to lean one way, definitely Cordarrelle, I would lean receiving yards. I believe it's mid 40s. So if we're talking about Cordarrelle Patterson, it would be the receiving side. I just think he has a much higher upside on the receiving yards. And for Ekeler, let's see. Let's check his last mid-through. So it's 59. And against, let's check. I would probably lean rushing yards on Ekeler, receiving yards on Cordarrelle. I think that would be the way to go if you have to split them. Obviously, I like them much better together because it is so hard to differentiate because both these guys are so good at both. But if I'm going to take one and I have to, gun to my head, have to choose one, Ekeler would be my rushing yards and I would have Cordarrelle receiving yards. So that would be the answer to this question for you. So Ekeler rushing, Patterson receiving. All right, guys, we're ready to DFS, man. We're flying through this, flying through this. Again, if you have questions, shoot in there. If you guys are able, please drop a like if you're on YouTube. I really appreciate it. We're really growing pretty fast over on YouTube. I love doing this content for you guys. The likes just show me if you guys are enjoying the content. That's really all it is there for. It's for me. I know there's like algorithms and stuff on YouTube. That's not really what it's there for. I just want to see if you guys are enjoying it, if we're getting enough people that are actually getting something out of this content that I'm putting out. Just so I'm able to kind of see if it's worth continuing to do, that's really the only way I really know how, instead of like putting a poll out on Twitter or something like that. So obviously top DFS guy, not going to be too crazy. It's going to be Ekeler. I just like every single thing about him in this game. I think that his ability to receive, catch on FanDuel, which is where I play most of mine, is great. Half point PPR. For a smaller back and receiving back, getting as much red zone equity as he does, I think is great. And I really just think that he's going to shred these guys, right? You do not see the Chargers usually have a run block advantage this big. It's 74% is just absolutely massive. I think that they show it right away. I think they come out early, put a couple of points up on the board, and I think they're going to be able to do what they did last week and run that clock out on Kirk Cousins. I'm not a huge Kirk Cousins guy, especially in big games. I think that he crumbles. And I really think that Austin Ekeler is going to be one of those guys that you need to have in your DFS lineups. And yes, he is pricey. I do know that. He's usually around 9K. Let me pull up my FanDuel lineup. I already have my FanDuel lineup made for this week. and he is in it. He is right on the top of it. 8,600 this week. Last week was 9K. I really don't understand the drop in price. I get that he only had what was that 82 total yards last week, but Philly was doing a good job, right? He had 17 carries in that game though, 17 for 59. So Philly did a good job there, but they just could not stop the underneath routes, right? The underneath routes all went to Keenan Allen, though. That was what they were doing. They're running zone, and the Eagles are just stupid. You can't run zone when you have a guy like Keenan Allen. Like, that just does not work. That's like running the zone on the Packers. Like, you don't think Devontae Adams is going to find the hole in the zone? It's just that would just baffle me how bad that was, right? You have to make adjustments. After the first half, Keenan Allen had 7 catches, guys. 7 catches. There's just nothing there. Sorry, that's my Eagles tangent of the day. I have nothing else to say on those guys. No bets in that game. But I do really like Austin Ekeler this week. Scored a touchdown 2 weeks ago. He scored 3 touchdowns 3 weeks prior, and then multiple touchdowns in 2 of his last 5 games. So he just has the ability to break a slate. And it doesn't really matter. He had 10 points is his floor. That's like his base floor, guys. Not many backs you can say that for, especially at 8,600. I just think that price is just way too low. Dalvin Cook in comparison is 8,500. I think those guys are comparable, but I think Eckler's matchup is just exceeds it. Okay, let's get to it. Let's get to our DFS value. It's going to be OJ Howard this week. OJ Howard's 4,600 on FanDuel. And Tampa Bay's got the dream matchup this week of the Washington football team. Obviously, one of the worst defenses. I think bottom 3 in every category. Yes, I get it. They played some tough teams, but I think Mike Evans, Howard, Fournette all go off this week. Howard is just 4,600 with Gronkowski being on the bad side of questionable, hasn't practiced yet this week. Today will really be that big news. If Gronk plays, I still don't mind Howard, because if Gronk is in there, he's had multiple games where he tries to push through injury and then gets hurt later in the game, right? He gets hurt mid-game. I did see doubtful for Gronk, so I would assume out. I haven't seen any news on him being completely out. I've seen doubtful, so I would assume out. If it did, it must have been really recently. Let me pull up here. Oh, Gronk is out. Gronk is out officially. So if you guys have him, I think that just makes this play even more of a banger here. Really, the next thing now, we have A.J. Brown out. We have a questionable Chris Godwin and no Gronk. Where is it going to go, right? Where is this going to go? I don't know where else they could throw to besides Evans. OJ Howard, I think, is an absolutely insane value. That's a lot of targets that need to go somewhere else, right? I think Fournette has a great game, but in the case of value, OJ Howard is going to be great this week at 4,600 over on FanDuel. All right, got it. Thanks. Yep. Anything. Like I said, don't hesitate. I'm only going to be able to be on here for about 10 more minutes, guys. So if you guys have questions, pop them in quick, or else I'm going to have to dip out before getting to those. Obviously, I want to make sure I get all of those in there for you. Okay. Last part. Anytime touchdown scorer. And it's going to be Dalvin Cook, minus 135. I just think that this is absolutely insane value. I get it. Dalvin Cook has not been able to score very much this year. 0 receiving touchdowns, only 2 rushing touchdowns. But now we're going to have an absolutely perfect matchup with the Chargers. The Chargers are a run funnel team. I think that Dalvin Cook over 90 rushing yards is a good look. Not good enough to make the show, but it is a pretty good look. Looking on here, Minnesota has a 31% run block advantage. and with these guys pass funneling with two safeties or run funneling with two safeties high, I love Dalvin Cook to be able to make some gash plays there. In that same thing I was talking to you guys about, yards before contact. The Vikings are playing the Chargers. Chargers are actually the worst in yards before contact. 2.2 yards before contact there. By far the worst. Over, I think Seattle is second worst at 2.13. And then it drops off all the way to 1.79. So great spot here for Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook obviously is a workhorse of this team. He's going to have a huge game to be able to keep this game close with the Chargers. The Chargers offense is just that much better. We're seeing an alternate between Jefferson and Thielen every single week. And I really don't know which one's going to go off this week. So I'm going to take the very reliable Dalvin Cook. I think minus 135 is good value. I think this value is probably the best it's going to be for the rest of the season, because I do not see this touchdown drought holding out much longer. With a guy who gets that many touches, that many red zone touches, I really, really think that this is going to be a huge game for Dalvin Cook. Also did see that he had some allegations against him. But obviously nothing came to fruition. I think that he has to come out here. He's going to come out here, show everybody, show out in this game, going up against another good running back like Ekeler. I think that this is going to be a very fun spot for both sides in this game. And like I said, Dalvin Cook is not going to be kept out of the end zone for this long. With injuries and everything there, I think that this is a great spot for Dalvin Cook to get right, get some touchdowns, get on the board. And I think minus 135 is a number you're not going to see very often anymore after this week. So love that spot. Oh, appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Jax, for stopping in. I appreciate all you guys for staying in here. All right, let's get to a recap of the show. Doesn't look like we have any comments in the section there. So I will go through the recap, and we'll check at the end, see if we have anything. If not, I will be popping off, and you guys will have the 3 plays ready to roll. First play, Josh Allen under 284.5. This is a minus 110. It's going to be a 1-unit play there versus the Jets. Cordarrelle Patterson over a 90.5 rushing receiving yards, 1.5 unit play, minus 114. And then our big play of the day is going to be Austin Ekeler, rushing receiving over 102.5. Remember, we did have Jake in here say 100.5 on points bet. Jason also mentioned it's 101 on DK. So I think that we're going to have great value here. Like I said, with less people in here, I don't think the line move is going to be as much, because I've had a couple of these shows. We've seen lines move like 4 or 5 yards while on stream. So you people who are in here right now, you guys are going to get a great line on that. So make sure you pop over there and do that as well. DFS value play, OJ Howard, no Gronk, possibly no Godwin. We do not know. He did practice today, so it is possible. But I do think that we're going to have a fun little shootout there in Washington with the Tampa Bay defense being terrible against the pass. I think it'll be a fun game to watch. I think it's going to be a really sneaky over spot. Just really depends on who's all healthy. Obviously, we won't know if Godwin's going to play till probably a couple hours before kickoff. So DFS top play, Austin Ekeler. I mean, I've talked about him enough. He's one of my favorite guys of the week. And anytime touchdown score is going to be Dalvin Cook minus 135. That number is just absurd to me. For a game that's going to provide points, a guy who's going to touch the ball a lot. We're seeing a 53 total. I believe that's the highest on the slate. I think we're going to see some fun fireworks in that game. Do we know if it's Rodgers or Love this weekend? I haven't heard anything. I believe it's Rodgers. If not, we're gonna have a tough time. Let me check. I will check on FanDuel here quick. Matt LaFleur said Rodgers has continued to take part in virtual meetings. I did hear about that. It remains on track to start Sunday. If he checks out well, he'll be able to come back to practice on Saturday. So I would assume Rodgers, unless we hear otherwise. And I'm guessing you guys will hear about it very soon after it happens. So Really like that spot. I think that game's going to be fun. I think Russ is coming back a little bit too soon, and I think that we're going to have I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a really fun game. I think it's more of a running game for the Packers in this game. So, all right, guys. Looks like that's everything in the chat. Again, if you guys have any questions on these plays, shoot me a DM. I'll definitely help you guys out. But I'm looking forward to continuing this 3-0 streak from last week. 5.5 units made last week. Overall on show, let me make sure I pull up the exact number here from my notes. On show, overall this year, 19-9 on the show, 14.8 units made. We've been absolutely killing it over here on the videos. So make sure you guys let me know which one's your favorite. Shoot me a DM if you have any questions. I will get back to you guys. I think I'll have stream stuff on Monday for our YouTube play of the days. Wednesday, I'm hoping to have Monotone back for Pass the Prop NBA. And next week, hopefully, we'll have Monotone back for our Friday NFL Pass the Prop action. So thank you guys for tuning in at this weird time that we're rolling with today. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys soon. Make sure to lock those 3 bets in, and let's get another sweep.